You're going to be ready in 30 minutes.
And you need to know the song.
I didn't remember. I'd learned like the first four, because part of it is also like the anxiety of like, damn, what if I mess it up? Now, like, I'm wasting everybody's time, whatever. We wait for cuts, bro.
You think until you make it.
Yeah, you wait for cuts. And the confidence was gone at that point. But fortunately, I'd already done other character parts. So I was like, okay, this last character, I'm definitely not.
Hey guys, welcome back to SA Film Chronicles. My name is RAMOHLALE, and today you are tuned into our one-on-one interview sessions, and we are joined by Shaka, the real Shaka from Shaka iLembe, Mr. LEMOGANG TSIPA.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, my brother?
Very good. Pleasure to be here. Now I'm excited, man.
Awesome, man. Like, I'm so happy to see you.
No, likewise.
It's been a minute.
It has been.
Yeah?
Last time was a short film.
Last time was a short film, Carrots.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Now it's slightly longer.
Yeah.
Slightly bigger.
And the last time, actually, you know, you're the first person I actually interviewed.
Yeah. I remember.
With like my phone, one set,
yeah.
and it was you and
Sissy,
yeah. And I was on my phone and I was just like recording you and I was asking you questions about Beyond the River. And I mean, like now we're here,
you
come
you
full
come
circle.
a long way, man. I see, got the studio set, the 3 cameras, the monitors.
Yeah.
No, that's beautiful.
Now we've honestly come a long way, and thank you so much for joining us.
Shout out.
And I just want to also give you a bit of an intro. So LEMOGANG is an actor and musician, and he's made his first film debut in Felix, and then his first TV debut in Forced Love. And he's also an international actor, and he's acted in he starred in a British thriller, Eye in the Sky, and another international supporting role in Wallender. And then he's also he's got an extensive body of work, including some of his films and series like Alien, Outpost, Homeland, The Golden Rule, The Book of Negroes, The Dark Tower, Roots, Oasis, The Number. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen, and gender non-conforming community. He's also gone on to do recently start in Beyond the River, which I think that's where a lot of people probably will remember you from.
Yeah.
Amandla, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, absolutely love that. You've also done Pusha Pressa Phanda, Back of the Moon, Carrots, the one that we shot.
Yes, sir.
And then you've also gone on to do Troy, Fall of City, Blood Psalms, Ludik, and now you're in Shaka iLembe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And how you been? How you feeling? Like
It's been a busy decade, as you've listed, man. But it's a very surreal kind of moment now, because for me this is an extremely massive role, man. I think it's in the same category as playing a Mandela or a Jesus, one of those historical icons, which their names on almost every crevice of the planet. You can say the name Shaka Zulu and somebody will be like, oh yeah, it sounds familiar. So it's quite big. It's quite big. But yeah, I'm still taking it all in.
Yeah, and that you've actually been a musician longer than you've been an actor.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that, and it's also my fault. I haven't dropped an official body of work yet, but I'm a perfectionist, so I've been cooking since about the COVID period. So it's year 3 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've got a few projects now in the pipeline. I've got one more left to finish, and then afterwards we're dropping. But yeah, I've been a musician since I was 11 years old. My relationship with music started in the church. Church drummer.
Nice. Yeah.
I was just that kid. I'd always see these drummers at the back, and they look so cool. And then I'd come up after church, yo, can you teach me? And then this guy started teaching me a thing or two skies at the time. And then, moved on a bit later. Then I started taking over into my teenage years and drumming in the church and stuff. And then after matric, I started a band called Young Jazzy with a couple of friends of mine from a high school close to where I lived. So that school offered a program where they'd play, they'd have like a marching band, which is like brass bands and these things. So I got 4 guys from that band, a saxophonist, a trumpeter, a tuba, and drums, yes. And then we formed our band.
Okay.
Yeah, it was called Young Jazz. We used to play in matric clubs. Matric dancers ripped it up, man.
Jeez, so you've been hustling since from early days.
Yeah, trust and believe.
Yeah.
Trust.
No, man.
Yeah.
And what music are you making now? I mean, you're gonna drop a body of work hopefully
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
So what can you look forward to?
Since then, man, we started that was like Afro jazz vibes. Moved to Cape Town, joined other bands as well. I was part of a heavy metal band at some point. Was part of a reggae band, part of another jazz band. But right now, the type of sound that we're trying to make is just, a couple of things for the charts, so we got a lot of the contemporary popular sounds. So piano's inside, Afro beats is inside, we got some R&B joints, we got some pop joints, I got a reggae song just to to my band. But actually hip hop, I got two hip hop projects as well. So it's very eclectic. It's as eclectic as my playlist, I'd say. Yeah.
And who's your favorite artist? Who are you listening to at the moment?
Man, favorite artists. I have different artists that are favorite for different reasons.
Okay.
Because I scrutinize, very particular things. I think Drake, for me, in terms of what it means to be a commercial success, has done it on the highest level. So it's definitely inspirational in those regards. And there's other artists that I look up to, like Pusha, who's been in the game, is able to reinvent himself over and over again, and just stay relevant and just be at the top of his game, and also bringing what we have to offer here on an international sort of platform. So there's many artists, and then when I get into my super musical kind of nerdy non-pop stuff, there's guys like Jacob Collier that are just absolute beasts, man. Guys that play every instrument, they can sing, they can compose, so I love a lot of different musicians for a lot of different reasons. It depends on my mood and what it is I'm trying to
So like you like kind of the multi, you're on the multi, like you're not just the person that's just I'm gonna make amapiano.
Yeah, no, for me the problem with that approach is that a lot of musical sounds come in waves. Like for example, Gqom was in and was the sound for a very long time. In terms of South Africa's international representation. I remember I'd gone to Canada for TIFF.
Yes.
And then one of my friends saw that I was in the hood, hit me up, and I left from Toronto and went to Montreal. We go to this random club, and they're playing Destruction Boys in the basement of this club, and I was like, wow, Gqom is big.
Yeah.
But the problem is, for me, if I'm too limited to one sound, as soon as that wave kind of goes, I feel like, I'll always be trying to play catch up. So for me, I like all kinds of music. I play all kinds of music for myself, so I wanted to also reflect in the kind of music I make.
Yeah. No, man, that's very interesting, and I mean, it's also nice to touch into, because a lot of people just know you more on your acting side, not as much as on the music side. So I think it would be very interesting for people to actually know, to be like, wow, Lemo's actually a musician, and maybe hopefully they do go to and stream your music.
Yeah, if it's half decent and they like it, then they can. Yeah. But I think I work with a lot of really talented people. There's one guy in particular, I have to shout him out, Nicey Beats. I work with him. He's like the main producer and main engineer that I work with. He's amazing, the greatest in the game. So people like that help elevate, what we do, and just make it good.
Oh no, dope, man. So you grew up in Bangin,
Yebo.
Natal,
Yep.
KZN.
KwaZulu.
Yes. Yeah, and dad.
My dad's Betty.
Betty and mom Tswana.
Yeah. So it was it's a weird paradox for other people to kind of embrace, but for me, it's always been my reality. So my parents' relationship with KZN precedes us being around. So both of my parents went to the University of Zululand, and studied there. I think at the time my father was pursuing his BSc in physics, and I think physics, because he became a physicist. And then my mother was doing, I think, her nursing diploma, if I'm not mistaken. But then she went on to study a lot more after that. Yeah, but that's where they kind of met, settled, had us as kids. At some point, they tried to move back to Joburg, in Gauteng. But I think I was about 1 or 2, and then we quickly moved back to KZN, realizing that's where home is for us. And so for me, that's all I really remember, those years of moving. That was too small. So all I really know in Bideam, it's KZN in Bangin. So that's the place I call home.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's very, like, different, for someone from the Bedi tribe and the Donna tribe to, migrate to
Yeah,
KZN.
I think the thing that helped us was that our parents were there before us, so they had a great grasp of the language and the culture because they were fully immersed. They had spent all of their college years in there, so I think to socialize us, obviously, for those kind of environments where you get to, like, for example, I remember grade 1, getting there. At break time, kids refused to speak English. So I think, and then my Zulu at the time was okay, but it wasn't like, popping. So I was just kind of, my Tswana was on point. So I'm just chilling there at break, trying to play with people and socialize. But I think my parents quickly recognized that and tried to, really, just cultivate those environments. But I think really the church environment also helped a lot because in KZN, especially churches we went to, the way that they did it, a lot of the times the sermons would be bilingual. So like if somebody's preaching in English or getting somebody, from outside, then you get a person that interprets immediately. So for me, I got like first-hand master classes from like different people every like week on how to translate and understand this language. And then it just, became a part of me now.
You grew up.
Yeah.
The Zulu people. So Mumzulu.
Ngumzulu.
Yeah.
So abanye bathanda ukuphikisa ngalokho kodwa ngazi ukuthi ngeke but yeah. Sekwenzeka guys.
And there's some people as well that have like issues of like, Shaka, like his Tswana name.
I know, but a lot of those people also forget the first basic of what we're doing. I would say ngibeke ngesiZulu. Ukulingisa. It's in the word. We're not the thing. We're pretending to be the thing or emulating, I think, in English. So most people forget that we're acting at the end of the day. I don't know if they want a documentary or they want the thing, but acting is that you kind of create this world and then you try to embody through your imagination in a convincing way for audiences. But I also understand it's a cultural thing. People are very proud of who they are. But I'm one of them, so I don't know why they're hating.
No, but we'll get into that. We'll get into a deep dive of Shaka iLembe.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are wanting to know from the main lead, that being from you. So a lot of people are so interested to know in that, but we'll get into that. But then, after high school, you took a gap year?
Yeah.
And how important was that in shaping you into the man that you've become?
It's one of the most pivotal, I think, moments of my life and career because at that point I was still undecided. I've got a massive passion for architecture and property developments and just, man's impact on the planet, kind of on this kind of scale. So I was caught between that music, which was still a massive love of mine. I thought I was going to do the music thing and this acting thing on the side, and then the acting as well. So in that gap year, I just started taking different jobs, traveling around SA. I worked for my dad for a little bit. I worked at the school, in different places. I worked for some of my dad's friends as well. So just basically just spending a year trying to figure out where in the world I want to fit. And in that year, I realized that, this acting thing is there. Because for me, I was also comfortable with who I was as a musician. I'd experienced enough at that point and gigged enough to know that I can have a life pursuing this. And there were a few people that we went to church with that had careers as well in music, i.e. gents that were in Joyous Celebration.
Okay. So you mates with some of them?
Yeah, I used to go to church with a lot of those guys.
Yes, of course, church,
so
yes.
There were those musicians that made it. It was those like big blues that you're like, that guy was so dope that, he went to Joe and did it. Yeah. So, I knew that, I always had that kind of support system if I wanted to really fully immerse myself into it. But in the acting world, I didn't really have any connections or people that I knew. So I thought, okay, let me upskill myself in this thing and just try and understand more about that world before, while this one sort of cooks on the side. So I kind of ran my careers parallel, and fortunately the acting one kind of took off. And now my musician side is playing catch up. I'm like, okay, now.
So now you're trying to pull through because the acting is above. Now you're trying to
balance
it out.
I need a balance, man. I need to balance it. And just also for my peace of mind. And I think the beauty about music is that it allows us as artists for a platform to express ourselves. I know a lot of actors that go through, whatever things. Like if I were to go through like a scandal or some drama, my only source to tell my side of the story would be like an Instagram live, or like, and hopefully somebody will retweet it for everybody to get my side of the story.
Yeah.
But music is a unique kind of medium in a sense that you can literally, it's like a diary. You can use it as like, you can make up things, you can write imaginarily, or like if you've got things in your heart that you feel like you want the public to know, you can express it on songs. Yeah, it's able to find life easier. So I think it's a good.
And I mean, such mediums like I think music, film, those sorts of mediums I think are. I mean, that's why we're creatives.
Yeah.
One of the best places to express yourself and
Yeah.
let loose and set free.
Yeah,
You know?
true.
Yeah. After graduating from AFTA, did you ever think to yourself that like you would ever play one of the most historical like characters?
Yeah.
You know, with Shaka. Did you ever imagine that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've always. So it's weird. I'd always thought I was gonna play Shaka, like since I was a kid. Like ever since I saw the Henry Clinton thing, I was like, damn, this is such an iconic and beautiful kind of piece. And it was just one of those kind of pipe dream things at the back of your mind. Then at film school, we did a short film where we did the Shaka thing, and one of my friends played Shaka. And I want to lie, in that moment, I was so jealous. I was like, damn, I wish I could.
Wish that was
but
you,
I was very
yeah.
happy for him as well, you know, because he did it and executed it extremely well. But then from there, we formed a company with a few of my friends, a production company, and we started shooting like a bunch of things, commercials, music videos, and corporate gigs, all this stuff. And one of our plans was to, obviously, once the money started coming in, creating a film division. And one of the shows that I wanted to do was a Shaka show. I was like, okay, it's been long, nobody's really speaking about it. Okay, at some point we're going to be those guys, you know, to kind of redo it. And then I shot Roots.
Yes, Roots, yes.
While I'm on the set
Beautiful,
of Roots, I meet this guy, Mondli Makoba.
Yes.
The first time I look at him, his face had very strong features similar to Henry's. I'm like, dude. And then he speaks and he's got this voice.
He's got the deep voice. Yeah,
and at the time we were shooting Roots, he's ripped, on, you know, looking. I'm like, damn. So then I remember at breakfast, the first conversation I had with him, I was like, dude, if ever there's a remake of Shaka Zulu, you gotta be the guy, dog. I want to do it. It's in my plans. I'm still ambitious. I'm like, I want to get this done. It'll cost you, whatever. Great. And then fast forward a few years, I'm on the project with the same man, and then I got it. And I remember sharing that story with him, but I'll get into that a bit later. And then he was like, no, dude, this is yours. And I was like, dude, it was such a weird moment to see somebody that I myself had envisioned as a Shaka.
As a Shaka, yeah.
To think. But it was beautiful, man. So it was one of those things where it was kind of like a pipe dream, but somewhere in my heart I'd always known. I mean, I've always made a point to stay in shape physically, and I know that like the way that people depict him, especially cinematically, is like this dark-skinned, whatever, fit guy. So I was like, okay, if I stay fit and keep in the zone, even if I never go on in this one, I was going to shoot my own little.
So you always admired. You were always ready.
Man, he's an African superhero, man. That's the real Wakanda. He was a guy that was there. He was the Black Panther slaughtering dude.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's that guy. So for me, I've always revered that, and also growing up in KZN, I mean, he's the most iconic hero we had known of, and the closest thing to a superhero. You know, a person who was a leader but a warrior who actually fought in most of the battles, and you know, has a few bodies on his name. It was that, man.
Dude, and like, how proud are your parents? And how proud are you seeing yourself on screen? You know, playing Ushaka? How does it make you feel?
I think my parents are more proud than I am of myself. I have a weird habit of like films. I kind of shoot them and just try to forget about it. But this one
you're gonna get attached now.
It's hard not to with all the billboards and things, and like, you know, all the people paying attention. But my mother's extremely proud, man. I think, especially like, I think this is like a kind of a full circle moment for her, because of, you know, the choices and where life kind of led them to being in KZN. I mean, you can imagine for them being first generation people outside of that world, you know, arriving in KZN, not knowing a word of Zulu, studying at it, you know, the school. So I think for them to see me grow up and then play an iconic figure within that community for them, which a community which they've obviously done a lot of work in and has played a large part in their lives. So I think it's a beautiful, beautiful moment. And yeah, my mom, I flew out for the premiere and she was so excited.
Yes. I know she's done. She did do an interview on.
Yes.
And yeah, she was just speaking on that. But like, oh man, it's incredible, man. And like, you just, I think with every production you go on, it's like you just keep on taking it a notch up, and I'm hoping for in the future as well.
Yeah.
You're gonna go on to, maybe we can see you being in the Woman King, or maybe you could even be the next Black Panther. Who knows?
Hopefully,
who knows?
man.
Yeah,
Hopefully, for me, my attitude with that is just, I must just stay ready. So for me, I just everything that I envision, I need to just train myself for. So like, I'd envisioned myself in like action leading roles. That's been like since I was a kid. I've looked up to the likes of the Bruce Lees, the Jackie Chans, the Van Dams, all these action stars. And the only way for me to realistically position myself for that is to train. So I was like, okay, if I get a bit of MMA under my belts and like, just a few combat skills here and there, weapon skills, all of that stuff, it'll gear me up for when those opportunities arrive, being able to. And Shaka was one of those projects as well. There was a time, especially during COVID, where like I went back home, I was in KZN for like spent time with my mother and just also upskilling myself. So picked up these sticks from watching Kung Fu movies and started playing all these, just mimicking basically all these kind of movements of the thing. And through that, I just posted a video on Instagram just being like, I was bored, And through that, I'd secured a role in Blood Psalms, which Jamil told me afterwards, like, dude, that's stick work. So I got you, the thing. So I was like, oh, wow. You never really know where your prep and putting things out there can get you, and you never really know who's watching. So for me, in terms of leveling up, I know obviously this thing's going to get a lot of attention, and people are really going to see me in that action role. So hopefully that, it's one of those things that keeps growing as well.
So I think that's more of like when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
Like you were always prepared.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to hear that. Now, speaking of preparation.
Yes, sir.
Talk us through the audition experience for Shaka iLembe.
Oh my God, that was one of the most intimidating experiences of my life.
Intimidating?
As I said, like earlier, the Monthly Makoba story.
Okay, yeah.
So when we get to the audition, this is not about Monthly specifically, but when I arrived at the audition, I saw so many Shakas. Everyone, I'm like, you look like a Shaka.
Yes.
And then, like, at the time, I thought I was in shape. I was like, I'm going to wax this as soon as the shirt comes. Oh, gents, the baby oil comes on. I'm like, I'm in Mr. Olympia here. Like, gents were ready for the thing. But, it was a beautiful process in a sense that it was very supportive. It wasn't like a competitive environment. We were all there to help each other. And I think also we were all auditioning for different roles. So there was nobody, I didn't think I was going for Shaka or anything. You kind of have a Shaka script quickly, then you pick up Senzanga Corners things, and you read Sweetest lines, just to kind of get a feel of which characters fit where. And in my mind, I was already like, okay, I'm going to get like one of the smaller roles, whatever. But I was just excited to be a part of the project.
To be a part of the production, of course, yeah.
Because I'd identified two guys that I was like, okay, this guy is probably going to be Shaka. If not him, then it's this guy. So we did it. It was also the language. Oh, my.
Oh, yes.
So the day I'd written myself off was there was a day for me, the language is not a problem. It's just also memorizing lines and, because you have to recite it almost as per page.
Like for like.
There's very little room for improvisation, because the problem is in improv, you'll do, so for example, umfethu is a contemporary word. The way you'd say it back then, but obviously in an improv mood, you're going to be speaking, normal things. So there was no room for that. I remember they gave us the speech for a battle. I think it was Sweetest speech, whatever. But it was a whole. So that's the end part. The whole speech is the page. But Angus hands it to us. It's like, we're going to be ready in 30 minutes.
And you need to know this whole...
I didn't remember. I'd learned like the first four, because part of it was also like the anxiety of like, damn, what if I mess it up? Now, like, I'm wasting everybody's time, whatever. So I'd memorized the first couple of lines. The middle part, I kind of improvised, and then the Ilanga Lempi line, I I made sure that I got.
Yeah.
So I'm delivering this thing, but then in the room, I think was one of the people that was the language advisors, and they just like had this very kind of kind of look.
So what does that do to you mentally when you see that? Like,
No, the confidence was gone at that point. But fortunately, I'd already done other character parts. So I was like, okay, this last character, I'm definitely not.
So there's chance, maybe I ace the other ones.
Yeah. But and it also the characters didn't really have names at the time, so it felt like it was like a battle sequence. We didn't even know where the arc of the story was, so it felt like it was a speech that Shaka was giving before a fight. So I thought, oh man, I just messed up the main thing. But they were just trying to also just see how quickly we could absorb lines and
and pressure maybe.
Working under pressure because also a lot of the time, in film things change a lot.
It's always changing.
Even while we're shooting, we'd be doing things in the morning. You'd arrive, different script, whatever. So you need to be able to work on your feet and in the medium of this different language, which is a heightened version of Zulu, which is a bit tougher of a medium to navigate because it's kind of like it's like theater meets film. Because in theater, you can't really also improvise too much. You have to stay true to the text, whatever. So we had to bring that element of it with the magic of cinema, which is it was hard. So that audition, I don't want to lie, it was hard but beautiful and also intimidating, but great also to see all the talents. There were so many new people that I certainly didn't know, and I would watch them. These people are brilliant. Where are they getting these guys from? But it's just a testament to show how great the talent pool is here in South Africa.
And did you know, like when you're auditioning, I mean, when your agent sent you, did you know that like I'm going to audition for Shaka at BOM, or was it like a secret? I know sometimes
it was kind of so. They try to be secretive, but the thing is, it was such a big project because I remember 2 or 3 years before the thing. Because BOM had been working it for about 6 years before it really came to life and become what it is we know. So in that period, I was still working with them on his Timbi. So
yes.
So there was a day where like they just got all the buff boys on set. Like it was myself, Zamani, Tisetso, and all the gym niggas. They're like, okay, everybody take your shirts off. And then we went downstairs, oiled us up, put us in like traditional things, took some pictures. And so we kind of knew this project was there. So in my mind, I was like, this is the only thing. And then I'd shot Blood Psalms, which was the only other one. So I was like...
That could be close,
So I'm like, nah, dog, this has to be the Shaka sort of thing. But they try to keep it hush. They even gave it like, I think, a secret name or whatever. But we knew. And we're like, come on,
working title. There's working title.
Yeah, it was like a working title. All Zulu text. I'm like, come on, they're not relaunching this mine. We know. This is something else. So like I was kind of aware, but it wasn't, they weren't very like, no, guys. Still very secretive. So NDAs, they made us sign NDAs as well. So everything was very hush. Yeah.
And what are the key elements that you could actually, key elements of auditioning for roles that you could give to young aspiring actors and actresses?
It's only one element: preparation. Prepare. Know your lines backwards. Like there was a
know your lines backwards.
Yeah, there was a saying my drama teacher used to have that they must be able to wake you up at 2 a.m. and the first thing is your lines. Once you understand the text that well, it frees you to play. It frees you to take it against the text. There's times where like the text says play anger, but maybe it's more sinister to just play it straight.
What's the procedure that takes place? Like, can you talk us through the procedure that happens after you audition straight up to like before you begin production, of course?
Yeah. So there's a few rounds of auditions that happen. Usually, the first round of auditions, they're calling everybody, because they want to see as many people as possible. So the first round was quite a few of us. We did well, not quite a few. Most of the Zulu actors in Joburg were people that can speak Zulu. And then the second round was the callbacks. So callbacks is a smaller group of people they found kind of like the people that they think they can work with. But the way BOM works is like they still call us back for different roles. So they're like, okay, cool. We really want to work with you, Eddie, but we don't know where to place you. So we're going to get you in to read for Senzanga Kona and Zwide. And then, like that. And then I think there's about two rounds of that. And then in that second one, they start pairing you up with different people. If, for example, your character like Senzanga Kona and Nandi, and you've got a love interest, they'll pair you up with different people just to see the chemistry between the people, etc. Or if you've got like really tight friendship or any relationship that's like got a few beats in it. And then after that, when I think it's about 2-3 rounds, and then they're supposed to call you to tell you if you got the job.
So it's like semi-finals, finals.
Yeah. But if you don't get that job, nobody calls you. You just your phone. You just watch it. And oh wow, that was.
I auditioned. I auditioned for that show.
Yeah. So that's kind of the process generally. But a lot of other production companies also work like that as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's really interesting. And then let's talk about your body transformation. Because you went from 60, you had to drop your weight to 68 kgs, and then you had 1 month to go to 76 kgs.
Yeah, so my resting weight is 76 kgs. That's my normal walking around.
Yeah.
But in the story, we were kind of posed with a thing. So for me, I can't really grow facial hair.
Yeah.
Or not a lot, or not enough to like have a significant difference on screen. So I was like, okay, how are we going to physically communicate the growth?
The growth,
of this character?
yes.
Once I secure the thing. So I was like, okay, the only other thing is physically. I mean, you see the difference between boys that are like still in high school and then once you get to varsity, shoulders grow a bit more, So I was like, okay, in that period and as well, we were just scrutinizing script-wise, where it goes. So I kind of pick it up from when Shaga's 17, and it's about a 10-year gap till we end, at least about 28. And that's massive kind of significant. And obviously, back in those days, kids didn't grow like now. A lot of kids now hit puberty a bit earlier because of all the things in foods, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I had to try embody this. And even the people I'd be cast alongside, I mean, I'm in my 30s now, but the people I'd be cast alongside playing some of the teenage roles, even if it's the daily guys, or if you were a lot younger, like in their 20s, whatever. So I was like, dude, I know I got a baby face, but for me to look like these guys, I have to lose weight. So the plan was for me to, as you said, get to 68 kgs, which was basically starving myself.
You starved yourself?
Yeah.
What were you eating
gymming.
actually? Did you have a dietitian?
Not enough. Yeah, we had a dietitian and stuff on the thing, on the show, but I wasn't eating enough. The main way to lose weight is caloric deficit. But now the tricky thing was I had to still look like a physical somebody, I still have to look heroic. So I had to lose weight by basically just consuming mainly like protein-based things, and I'd hit my vitamins and carbs just to make sure that my kidneys and all other things don't shut down, because you can't just have a one sort of dimensional diet. It's not good. So I'd have like a lot of protein. I'd have mainly eggs and stuff in the morning, but I wouldn't have them with anything. I'd have like 6 boiled eggs, and then for lunch I'd have like a fruit and then some more protein, and then dinner was where I'd have my carbs, a bit of rice. But even then, the fist is like a lot. This was like, this is on a good day. This is a cheat day's worth of, it was tough. And then the hardest part was having to put the weight back on. Oh my God. Because now it's not just about bulking. You still gotta look like a hero. I mean, you can eat a lot of ice cream and you look like 70s, but you still need to look like a hero. So now,
and the time frame for you is so short as well.
Yeah, fortunately, like I've got we had like a lot of support from the company. They'd gotten us like professional dietitians and like I had a trainer at the time, Bruce, who's a ex-bodybuilder now, full-time personal trainer. So they're fully versed in maximizing muscles and window periods and whatnot. And they gave us like the perfect sort of supplement plan, and like even on set we'd get supplements. Like if you forgot your protein shake, they're like, don't worry, we got you. So with that kind of gaining weight, so what bodybuilders do, their philosophy is that you have anabolic and catabolic hours. So you want to stay, I think, anabolic, which is in the protein synthesis kind of thing, which is your body cycles through that every 3 hours. So literally, in the gaining weight process, every 3 hours I had to stuff my face. While learning lines, while freezing in the cold, while on set, and then you're there, like, pumping iron with the boys in between takes, with your script aside. It was hard, I don't want to lie.
It sounds like such a demanding role, like it demanded so much from you physically, psychologically.
Yeah, I think it was the first role that kind of had all the elements of what it means to be an actor and to transform and to embody, your role. It was the first time I took a role that had each and every facet and had me challenged. Like the text was challenging, being on set was challenging, the conditions were challenging, what we had to do was challenging, everything, man. But I think we rose to the occasion and try to do justice to the story.
And in terms of like, from the psychological perspective, what is the psychological differences playing like a young Shaka who's like a teen? Because you come on as a teen, and that's when you speak about having to lose all that weight, and then you grow to be this man in the series. So, what are some of the psychological differences?
I think the hardest thing first is just to reimagine this guy, because a lot of us have this particular kind of view on who Shaka was as a king, as a person, whatever. But also stripping away from that, because now when you look at his teenage years, a lot of that part of his life wasn't documented for obvious reasons. He wasn't the great legend. There wasn't a lot to speak about other than obviously the prophecy from when he was a kid. Yeah. But then when he stepped into his own and started accomplishing these things, then he became, a person of topic. So now the whole thing was, we knew where we were building towards, but now where we're coming from. And also you want him to have growth, but you also don't want him to be weak. You know what I'm saying? So I think the psychologically it was just trying to find that balance of the traces of this great legend that we know, but strip it down to something that can build towards that, because if he was already the complete guy with all the answers as a teenager, it's not an interesting story. He had to have all these questions, have all these challenges, have all these things pulling him in different directions. So I think it was the stripping away kind of process of letting go of the things, because he was also, the way we had imagined him was very like noble warrior. He was just a very stoic, tough guy. You're like, wait, but did he laugh? Did he cry? Did he?
I mean, he's human after all.
Yeah. So it was finding all those kind of human elements and youthful elements in it as well. But I think fortunately for me as well, because I'm old, I've experienced it. So I had places to draw my youth from. I've gone through almost exiting youth league.
Almost
not
there.
Good, 3 more years.
Yeah, almost there. Literally, final push. Yeah.
Let's milk it while we're here.
Yeah. And what sort of, like, I'm always so fascinated about, like, the extent of research that you put into a character. Like, I think, that's personally for me, I just find it interesting. Like, I want to know, like, what did you find out? And, so what was something surprising as well? What research did you do? And what was something surprising that you found out about playing a role of King Shaka and the Zulu kingdom as well?
So there's a lot of surprises and a lot of things about this guy that constantly I was like, man, wow, this guy's so crazy and so ambitious and so like larger than life. But there's man. Okay, so number one of the fun facts that really got me was, when he started and took over as king, the Zulu tribe at the time was roughly around 700 in number. And if you scale it to how many Zulus are around now, it's
millions.
Boy did a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you think about it in a commercial sense, and you look at it like a business, if he built like this company, 200 plus years ago, that's still around, that's still strong as ever, still has the identity, still has, the presence, which is incredible. Other things that I learned about the king were kind of, because there's a lot, so being a character that large, there's so many stories, there's so many versions of this guy, because he's a mythological great dog. Like there's other people that for example, a thing, so they believe that he had a kind of speech impediment, almost like the lisp Mike Tyson has.
Yeah.
It didn't make it into the movie because obviously on screen it doesn't translate. It's a power thing, but it was an interesting fact that we learned from one of the historians that he had a speech impediment, which makes sense. The reason why I brought up Mike Tyson, a lot of people that struggle to communicate, or guys with stutters or whatever, generally have shorter tempers, which could have been one of the catalyst reasons to to make him the great guy. So I'm just imagining I don't know how far true it is, but in my imagination was like this guy that was like, we speak like Yamon Kumizu. And yet, like, for example, the Bayete thing. So apparently, Ubayete was derived from, this is what sparked the conversation, was derived from Balete. But he couldn't say the L's and those things.
Yes,
he said
yes.
Bayete. And because he was such allegedly, I don't know if this is true, because he was such a a guy that imposed so much fear in people, people were scared to correct him. So it ended up just, hey, that's Bayete. This is what he said. Because you want to be the person that goes against them. So there's so many little and many interesting things, but a lot of them are kind of like the example I gave now. They live in the realm of kind of myth. We don't know if it's true, it's hard to prove, but it's interesting facts, I think, nonetheless. But for me, in my mind, that kind of makes sense. And yeah.
And how much of, your creative interpretation do the directors, like Adze's director, Zeno.
Yeah.
And we interviewed him recently, actually, Zeno. Zeno's the other directors, one of the other directors. But how much of and there's of course more.
Yes.
Yeah. But how much of your own creative interpretation do they allow you to have for this character? Because I'm sure, the director will come to you and be like, okay, Lemo, the script says, the subtext, do this, Okay, then and they block it in a certain way. But how much of that creative interpretation do they allow you to have?
So I think one of the reasons why I've worked with Bomb for so long is I think we've got that great chemistry in a sense that we've got a similar approach and style to do it. A lot of the way that they sort of philosophy there, I mean, they get actors that are capable and they get people that can bring something to the table. So they really give us that room to play, which for me is it's
important.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. But they're freeing. I remember the first, sorry to drift from the Shaka thing. The first thing I think I shot with Bomb Productions was Back of the Moon.
Back of the Moon, yes.
I was playing the character Ghost there, which initially was supposed to be played by Warren Masimula, but then he was shooting Five Fingers, and then it was like a kind of a last minute thing. So Angus calls me to kind of do it. And he had already, obviously, Warren and his capabilities, he's a beast of an actor.
Yeah.
So he was kind of stuck in this dilemma and something, okay. And he just left me. It's like, okay, you got the job, you figure it out. And then Richard and myself kind of started creating these things, creating these walks, these ways of talking and just physicalizing this character. And from there, I think that relationship was established that, I'm an actor where if you do leave me, I don't want to just drown on screen or just deliver something half also. And I've always been a fan of shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway and, the improv world and just creating things. So I think through that, I was able to make these characters and they've always allowed us that freedom to just kind of float.
And that's brilliant of them.
I think it's the most
important
thing. I think I always like using strange analogies. It's like soccer. If you're a coach, let the players play, bro. If you're gonna micromanage every pass, everything, the players are going to be so in your head or that they're not focused on the game. So the way that they kind of do it is kind of like a soccer style where they will give us, direction from the side, but they allow us, we prepare. And that's what the whole preparation process is there for. Yeah. We discuss things, we have readings. I mean, I know Angus's line's open. I can text him anytime. Like even now, if I were to ask him, hopefully we get a season 2, but if I were to ask him, hey, so in season 2, what's going to happen? He's, that channel is open for us to communicate, and I think it's one of the most important experiences because it's the truest form of creativity, allowing a creator to create and collaborate. So,
I mean, I like that quote that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Let the players play.
Yeah.
You're a soccer coach. Clearly, you're not a Man City fan, are you?
Hey, man, not at all. That team is a terrorist organization.
Because Pep is the one that he controls all the puzzles. At this moment, you must move there. So
no, City. But they cheat. Yeah. They need to get their transfer bans. But that's a different soccer conversation.
For another day.
I'm a Man United fan, as you can tell.
absolutely. In terms of life on set
Yeah.
of Shaka iLembe, what was that like? Because I think a lot of people want to know of like what are you guys eating on set? Like,
Yeah.
what's your relationship with like Unomzamo
Yeah.
and Undando as well? And you know, I'm sure like you had to have a close relationship with him.
Yes.
Yeah. What is that
No,
like?
Nintendo was a very interesting kid. I remember seeing him. I think I saw him in the second round of, because the first round that I went to was just adults, and then I think they did obviously on a different day, the one for kids. So when it was callback time, I think there was like two young men there. It was him and another boy. Immediately I could tell that this is the guy. He just exuded this like confidence, man, and this like surety in himself and his craft, and like I even remember the way he was sitting. He was just chilling. I'm like, who's this kid, dog? You know, but like, and also like got a chance to watch some of his rushes and see him, you know, in the game. So yeah, he brought it. He was an incredible kid, and I could tell this talent's going very far.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to set, we never really worked a lot together, obviously, because we're the same person.
Yes, shooting
And then,
separate.
so when we would shoot and see each other, it would just be at base camp on the thing. So I never really saw him in the zone on set. And we were shooting, I think, with 2 units for most of the shoot. So if we were working at the same time, he was Shaka 1B and I was 1A because of the age thing, whatever. So so then he'd go shoot that side and then I'd go shoot this side at the same time. And then we'd share Nomzamo.
Of course, yes.
Which was also really cool. But I think on set, man, generally the atmosphere was always positive. We all knew that we're there to make a piece of history, and we're all just proud to be part of this project that we've been crying for so long. For so long, I mean, I haven't been in the industry for an awful long time. It's only been 10 years, but in this period, we've been asking to like be given this opportunity as African filmmakers through and through, from the directors to the writers to the DOPs to be given a chance to compete on an international scale, to be given the money and the resources and the scale to do, you know, such a project. So I think all of us were aware of this, and all of us were so grateful for that opportunity. And I think the ensemble that they'd put together was one of the best, if not the greatest, you know, ensemble that I've, you know, had the privilege of working with. And I think it also translates on screen, man, for people. It's that project, you know, for a lot of people. Every week I'm looking on Twitter and people are like, oh my God, this is that project that you know we've been waiting for. So that atmosphere was that every time. You know you're in the Champions League. You tell you like this is it, you know. So everybody was always bringing their A game. Everybody was always hungry. Everybody was always prepped. There was no, because I mean, a lot, especially with the shoot that went on as long as it did, a lot of times people get hit by that fatigue, and then 2-3 months into it, we're not showing up on time, or we're not giving our A. Till the last day, everybody gave their A game, man. From every department, man. So I think it was that. Everybody was aware of what we were doing, and I think there was also moments where Abapansi would also remind us. There was a lot of spiritual moments on set. We couldn't shoot because they
really? Can you share some of those moments?
Kind of, yeah. There was some scenes, man, where like it's weird because when I try to think of them, it gets a bit hazy. But like it'll be a moment where like it'll be a scene between me and Sense in a corner or whatever, or like I don't know, between like pivotal characters, dog, and like there's a clash, and then it goes little man. You just hear sounds from somebody, or even your co-star, and you're just like, hey. Then you have to obviously do all the things as a sig, or you have to get out, you know, as a dog, paper, nani. So there was a lot of that. That's when I think it really hit me that what we're doing here is
spiritual,
big, dog. It's bigger than us, and it's bigger than just the moment, and it's not just a movie for entertainment. It's like, you know, as I was saying, it was the moment of us crying for this thing, and I think it was them saying, we're with you in this thing, and you know, we've also been fighting on the other side for these things, and wow, okay, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. All those moments on set, but it was beautiful.
Yeah. Damn, man, it sounds like you guys said to like quite. I mean, quite intense. I mean, like it's a spiritual, also a spiritual environment, and this is a spiritual story that you're telling. It's a historic story.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
historic, one of the most iconic African stories, or actually internationally,
Yeah,
to ever
yeah.
come out. Yeah,
Definitely. I think, like I said earlier, everybody knows this guy's name. You can go to India, China, Afghanistan, Brazil, Chile. You say Shaka Zulu.
then
It's like, oh, I know that. The African.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's big, man.
and you
That's
are
big.
you. That's you, Lemo. That's you.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still, like I said, for me, it's still sinking in. I haven't TX'd yet, so yeah, it hasn't come into me. But I did catch a glimpse doing ADR of some of the scenes, and wow, yeah.
Man, I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited, and also seeing your journey grow as an actor, from where you started
Yeah.
to what you become now. It's really inspirational. And do you not feel, though, to a certain extent, that like you're probably one of the most underrated actors in the country with your extensive filmography and
Yeah.
like all the work that you've done? Like you are Hollywood A-list level.
Yeah, so
You know?
a few people like telling me that. For me, I don't know, man. I take it as I take it. It's one of those things where, as long as I'm working on projects I'm interested in, the rest is just dessert. It's like an extra. Oh, there's ice cream. Oh, great! I'm being celebrated. But for me, my main thing is just doing things, man. Being on set and being part of projects that I'm interested in, being part of projects which are going to really revolutionize culture. Because I feel a large part of why I'm here is because I was inspired by pieces like that. Like I said earlier, the things like Henry Cele's versions, films by the likes of the Eddie Murphys, the Will Smiths, whatever, all these black great filmmakers and actors. That's what inspired me and made me think, man, it's possible to be here, and I'm here today. So for me, as long as I'm competing and I'm getting game time, I'm happy. So the rest of it's a great bonus, but I'm not. It's not my motivation. My motivation is to be on set and to tell stories that will impact the world. Yeah.
And you guys costumes. I mean, like, I don't know who's the costume designer.
Oh, Mama Shelly Masondo, aka the greatest legend of all time. She's done everything, man. She's about as good as it gets. I mean, she's done. I think she's worked on things like Woman King and what's the name of this thing? Black is King, Beyonce, and like a whole bunch of. She's like her CV's. Yeah, it's embarrassing to look at my CV compared, but she's obviously a legend in the game. But she's incredible, and her team were incredible. It was extremely researched, and everything is almost as accurate as what it was back then. I know there's a few people that are like, oh my God, these weird hairstyles and costumes. I'm like, when you Google that period, you'll see that was our version of beauty and swag and drip, So,
True,
They did a fantastic job at all that stuff. Even though those costumes are kind of cold, because it's supposed
I was
to be
actually wondering,
set at KZN, and we shot it here in the not so warm and Gauteng. But it really brings out. I think every time we put it on, the costumes, there's an energy that comes with it. So I think even in the process of the costumes being made, I know a lot of them were handmade by people that whose jobs it is to make those kind of apparel. So I think that there's also a spiritual element kind of attached to that of the people actually creating these pieces for us as well, which is
how do you guys keep warm on set? Because
we don't. We wait for cuts, bro.
You
You wait for cuts, and then
So you could be shivering cold, like freezing, and you still gotta like.
I can guarantee you on episode 5 that the last scene in the rain, with Calvin, Kabonina, and Wiseman, where they were hugging. That hug, part of it was out of guys. The directors must know we've given everything. Like, it's very cold. Like, it's because we shot it mostly in winter.
In winter, yes.
Yeah, because also in the Highveld this side during summer, we have an issue of rains. It's almost like Cape Town's winter, where it's those quick rains.
Yeah.
And then the environment we're shooting in is so deep in the bushes that 10 minutes of rain and driving on gravel road, steep hills, 4x4s, a lot
Yeah.
of things would be problematic. So, yeah, winter's the best bet, and also cinematically, I think winter, the way the light falls is not as harsh. So you
Yes,
can shoot,
yes.
at midday and all these different times, as
Yeah.
opposed to in summer when the sun is burning. But yeah, so it was cold, but we looked beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, man. That's very interesting. Of recent time, you've been getting a lot of backlash on social media where people, and you touched a bit on it earlier on, where people are saying you don't have a Zulu name, you're not Zulu, but not bearing in mind that you actually grew up in Pangeni, that you grew up with Zulu people. So I don't know if there's a criteria that qualifies as you as.
Well, for me, it's like, it's funny because a lot of the people that will always comment are people that have never been on film, or they don't understand the intricacies of what it takes to do it. So it's kind of like just criticism. It's like us commenting on soccer. We know about soccer, but if they were to swap you and Pep tomorrow, Man City is getting relegated. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's kind of that. It's like, it's opinions of people that aren't really experts in what they're speaking about. So for me, I don't know. But it's part of life. It is what it is. I don't know what the criteria should be, how Zulu enough. Because there's even other people that are Zulu and born Zulu, but people don't like the way their Zulu sounds because maybe they grew up in a different part of KZN or Joburg or whatever. So the accent is they criticize it. So for me, I don't know. Critics will always be there, they'll always talk, but we have shot it, and you can shoot your version if you're a hater and hate the fact that I'm in it. You can.
And at the end of the day, it's about your performance.
Yeah.
Speaking before you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I let it do that. But if you've really got a problem with it, raise funds, NFF is there, and then shoot your version. And then we'll.
Free country.
Yeah.
I mean, you are right that you can shoot your version because
Yeah.
we do know that there is another version in the King Shaka Showtime.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
shooting
and they're doing their version.
So
None of us have really thrown shade at each other. It's kind of like they're doing their thing there, and we're doing our thing here. So yeah, man, you can do it. You can. I mean, if you feel that strongly about it, then And for me, it's like one of those. What is that saying? Don't criticize what you can't change. You know what I mean? So if you're not gonna affect it, then.
And I love the respect shown by the both productions, both the Shaka iLembe production and in the King Shaka production as well. Because I mean, would have been very easy for the producers of Shaka iLembe, whose story was developed, let's just say, I'm assuming earlier. To my knowledge, it is.
Yeah, I think it sounds like it.
It sounds like it, looks like, because I mean, I know Shaka iLembe was supposed to be in production, I think back in 2018 or somewhere, and then obviously that didn't happen, and later on, and maybe that was for the best. But the producers not to come out and be like, oh, but we're doing the same thing, or we're doing something similar, or it's a similar story, or it's about a similar character, and I hope we can maintain that in the country as well, that level of respect. Yeah.
No, I think so. I think it's only the right thing to do, and also like we're not direct competitors, man. I think when you look at definitely the themes and the characters are the same, but we've seen this a million times overseas. I mean, the Spider-Mans, how many versions of Spider-Man? They even had all of the Spider-Mans in the last one in one movie. So, I mean, we live in a world where stories can be told and retold in many different ways, and people are open to their own interpretation. So, yeah, man, I always wish, productions, especially a production like that, I wish it the best of luck, because even though we're not really in direct competition, the audiences and people criticizing me or whatever for not being so whatever, those same people are the people that are going to watch both of them and be like, this one's better than this one because of this. And for me, that is interesting because it gives both projects life. If I've watched this one and I say it's better than this one, I'm going to watch both, which is great for both. So for me, I wish them as much success as possible because I think their success will translate to ours as well, and vice versa.
Absolutely. So let's talk about isiZulu as a language. Because isiZulu saseGoli is not the same as the the Nguni Zulu from KZN. Here in Joburg, hey man, do our own thing, slang la there. So I mean, and for you, you know, you're a young man. So how did you find it adapting, speaking isiZulu? Because the isiZulu in Shaka iLembe is like,
No,
oh,
it's
it's
different.
deep. It's like that isiZulu, like
Yeah.
proper.
To the point where, like, a lot of my friends, I'm friends with, like, different people from different cultural groups, but there's a lot of closer friends that I have because when I went to college, I went to Cape Town, and, you know, started making friends there, whatever. A lot of them, when we have our conversations, mina ngumZulu, whatever, but mina ngumXhosa, and we kind of understand each other. But this show was the first time they asked me, they were like, "Brad, put the subtitles on." We don't know what's happening.
Yeah. We
You
don't
kind
know
of
what's going
follow.
on.
So it was challenging, man. But for me, there's a lot of versions of that language that's really deep Zulu that I grew up listening to, even though it's predominantly spoken more in Makaya more than the setting that I grew up in, because I grew up kind of suburbs, kind of township vibes. Ngakhulele eSikhaweni naseMpangeni naseDlangezwa, which kind of encompass all of those places. But most of the time that I spent was in Pangeni. So we'd go out, especially with my father, when he was preaching and stuff. He'd go to like all these different places in Makaya.
Yeah.
And then they dog singing Saseko dog. My guy's singing.
Yeah.
Even the kids. So like he'll be there at the house. I want to play with the kids. Ain't no time. So got to interact with that thing. But the text in the show was extremely heightened.
Yeah.
And a challenge, man, because there's certain words that I would see for the first time where I'm like, man, this is unyasazi, but what is
This, yeah.
this? Because certain things, you know, nowadays, like for example, in the television,
Yeah.
we slang it, it's TV.
TV, yes.
Umabonakude, yo, you know, not that there were TVs and stuff in the show, but just to make an example of like random things, bro, like arbitrary things, rocks, you know, elephants, you know, we just kind of find these new words and we haven't really learned the full descriptive words of the whole vocabulary. Like for me, I didn't have the privilege, I mean, of learning Zulu as a first language in school. It was a second language. So whenever something's taught as a second language, you could just get taught those words that you use every now and then, and like, you know, but you don't really immerse yourself in the thing. So I felt that was a big loss. But this project was kind of bridging that gap where now we're starting to learn and increase our vocab and understand, you know, Zulu on a different level. So it was a beautiful experience. We had great support from Amandla, who was one of the biggest cultural advisors and language advisors for the show. But as well, Ulaki helped us, and LEMOGANG also helped us a lot with the language.
So you had like your,
as well. So we had kind of like language coaches on set.
Linguistic coaches,
Linguistic coaches, yeah. So in between takes, their whole job was to just listen on the monitors to the dialogue and correct things. So, because there's times where, because a lot of people were from different backgrounds, you can say the right word but with the wrong accent, which makes it
can
not
cause controversy as well.
Can cause controversy. It's that jarring moment for people that really understand the language, which would take you out of the world where you're like, why does this guy sound like he's at Bree Taxi Rank? What's happening here? You know what I'm saying?
Got my mind.
Got my mind, you know what I'm saying? So we needed that sort of cushion. And yeah, we had really great support from the company to provide, you know, us with these experts that are well versed in these languages and really guided us as to how to portray it in a believable way, you know, to make it seem like it's a fly on the wall 200 years ago as opposed to actors reciting lines.
Yeah. But like, don't you guys go into like some sort of like a camp kind of thing? Because like you said, you guys all come from different backgrounds. And
Yeah.
so did you guys go into some sort of camp where?
Kind of. So the camp that we did.
And how long was it?
It wasn't purely language. It was just about immersing ourselves into the culture. So it was like an on and off thing for like, I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks-ish. Because we'd go in. I remember there was a time that the former king. So they'd called us down for that in KZN. It's basically singing. It's like lifting up of the king's spirit to the heavens, like just ushering him, saying, "Thank you for being here. You can join the other kings as well in Naukada." So we were very privileged to be a part of that. And then in that, we're obviously chilling with Mabuto, with the new king before he was inaugurated and just really immersing ourselves with the royal house and the culture.
What was that like? Hey, like,
oh man,
like being surrounded by royalty, amongst royalty.
it's hard to explain. I mean, firstly, because we weren't the highlight of the thing, so we were just kind of in the crowd. So fortunately, it kind of eased off that thing of like, oh, it's those guys that are going to be, carrying. So nobody really announced us because the main event was obviously around Pamiso and Nkosi. So it was nice to kind of be hidden and experience that thing. But in the same breath, it's also, man, there's an aura to those guys that it's hard. It's almost impossible to articulate. It's just like you just feel this energy, and all of them are about that life and ready for it. Like, there's a lot of people that are ready and willing to die for everything that they believe in, which is, once you're around somebody who resonates on that frequency, you feel it, that, man, this person can take it to the end for this thing, which is, it's a different level.
And the Zulu King as well came to your visit to set and gave you blessings. And
that was beautiful, man. It was an honor. It felt like that was the last sort of nail in the coffin, because we were having all of these spiritual experiences, and we had gotten the blessing from the former king as well, so it was, man, it was just that pat on the back that, you guys are actually doing it, and this is the right way, and this is how it's supposed to be. So it was beautiful and humbling.
And I want to speak more about your training process. Like you mentioned that you had a physical trainer as well. But in terms of the fight choreographies, what's the sort of approach did you take in, or did the fight choreographers take in designing those choreographies? Because I've got to say, from what I've seen so far, they're so beautifully choreographed. Absolutely beautiful.
So the beauty of this story, Ukabelo Chaletsani is the stunt coordinator who created these masterpieces that we see. Him and I started around a similar time in the industry, if not the exact same time, on the same job. And he was doubling me. Like, it was like a thing. I was like, oh, this is cool.
You got stunt double,
yeah. So at the time in Cape Town, there weren't a lot of black stunt guys. So I was like, and he was a young black guy. Like, we knew, there were so few that all of them. All five of you.
Yes.
So I was like, who's this young black, stunt guy? And he was really talented, whatever. Fast forward a couple of years, he's grown to the position of now being the coordinator of these things and not just being a stunty. So, but he also doubled for me on the show. It was so surreal. But I think his process was firstly drawing from his vast experience that he's had, because stunt guys are continuously working. His CV is probably like 4 times mine, because literally you just go from set to set to set to set to set. I think now he's in Thailand or somewhere overseas working.
Okay.
So they're constantly upskilling and working. So, but I think the main thing was just to understand the weapons used back then, because the weapons will really direct the style of the combat. So initially, because of the way the blades are shaped and what we had seen before, it was kind of a style similar to sword fighting and stuff. But then the more we started researching, we realized, nah, man,
it's not it.
This one way. It's this way. But then how do you take an action that's practical and make it interesting cinematically? Because it's one thing for something to, like, for example, Bruce Lee had the same problem where he was an effective fighter, but it didn't translate on screen because it's too effective, it's too quick, so we had to find a way to take the dance between what is real combat in the most effective way to annihilate an opponent, but also bring cinematic language to it and grace and dancing. But I think he eventually found kind of
a
middle
model.
ground. But I think through that was also with the workshop and with us also seeing how the props move, how we move with the props, the shields. Because, I mean, he's worked on different things. We worked on Troy together, where the style is similar. The character that I was fighting with had a spear and a shield as well. But that style of that shield, because it's a metal shield with a groove here, you can do, as Brad Pitt kind of, stab things and move things. But then now it's a cow skin. It's shaped like an oval. It's not going to look that cool to that. So you must find other
So you got to
ways.
find a different style to it.
Different style. But I think also, fortunately, the weapons that were available in that time were also vast. It wasn't just limited to the spear. I'm speaking about the spear because obviously Shaka developed and iconicized that, and it's very particular to him. But there was weapons like knives in the days, there was weapons like axes, and all these different types of blades, which you could see with there was this really cool thing that Udingswai did, where he blocks the guy, twice pushes them, the fight between him and Wiseman. Really incredible, and Abdul with the axe coming overhead. So, yeah, there was a lot of toys to play with, I think.
And so for you, and I mean, what you learned from some of your battle scenes as well. If someone had to try have a go, would you?
I've been dangerous before this role, but I'm one of those people where like I don't go out for fights. I don't like fighting. I'm not interested in fighting anybody in the streets. I just upskill myself for in case I'm in a situation where I don't have a choice but to use those skills. But yeah, I can handle myself with the blade. But even without a blade, like done a little bit of jiu-jitsu, a bit of MMA. So
do you have any interesting stories in terms of that you'd like to share in terms of some of your battle scenes?
I don't know if it's interesting, but this one way, like there was a day we had this massive battle sequence and the light was going down and when people start panicking, voices or what. Oh man, the background artists that day were in the zone. Like they were doing the things. So there was a certain part of the sequence where we had to stop. So we were coming in I don't want to give too much away. We were coming in a formation towards a battle, and then when we get to the formation, we split and then we fight. So all Zeno communicates is that all I need is you guys to come up, disperse, and the first beat of the fight, then we cut. Then we'll come inside to cover the fight. Because we hadn't blocked, and obviously with certain things, I've blocked with my stunt guys. I'm going to kill this stunt guy is going to try, whatever, with the choreography thing.
Yeah.
But there's so much chaos. And I think that was the day where the microphone died, because we had a mic with voice of God, where because obviously it's a lot of people, whatever. So at the time, the only thing left was the megaphone. It's golden hour. We have 10 minutes of light. So we break apart and the battle starts. They yell cut on the megaphone. All you can hear is, ah! I just felt, and then for certain, you got fake spears and real spears. So for certain,
oh, okay, cool.
So for certain people, they were given real spears because where they're placed by the camera, obviously you can see the shape of the plastic. Are those guys not going? I had to really I felt it. I'm like, what? This is a real fight. No, let's go. Yeah, so it was a bit scary.
You panicked in that moment.
No, I had to defend myself. That guy stabbed me for real. I was like, bro, we're gonna need medics soon. And not for me, but yeah, it was a wild situation. But I mean, it was one of those things, spur of the moment, the blood is boiling, we're also in the zone. And
in
I think
character,
before every single kind of, especially on those big sequences, we'd do all this thing of singing. And and a lot of the hubos were actually songs that they'd sing before battles. So you actually get riled up, dog. It's like playing hip hop on full blast. You get that, woo! Adrenaline. Yeah. So it was a bit of that, boys being boys. But fortunately, nobody got hurt. There were no injuries. It was just a few scratches bit of bandage. And antiseptic fixes, quick.
Chick stick scars, man.
So,
just a scar here, there.
Yeah.
Chick stick that.
No, we didn't even get scars. I wish we did. It's literally just baby scratches.
Because, every scar has a story.
Yeah.
And, you would have been like, that's the Shaka on set battle scene.
Hey, maybe season 2 I'll collect one, but hopefully not.
We never know.
Let me keep this body clean.
No, but it's for safety
reasons,
rather, rather not. Yeah, so moving on to The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind.
Yes.
Man, what an incredible story that was.
Yo, it was.
That's like one of the most, one of the greatest stories to come out of Africa.
And it's wild. So a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, actually went to college with the actual guy it was based on. And she told me that after the fact. I'm like, what? And
So after you'd already like filmed
I
it.
shot it because like I'm very indie. I don't tell my friends anything. I just
Nice,
shoot.
yes,
And then
good,
when
good.
it's on TV, they're like, "Dog, when did you?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that little thing." Yeah. So it was like a situation like that. And then when it came out, she saw it and was like, "What? This is wild. I actually know this William. I know William."
Yeah.
And I think we video called him and had like a bit of a laugh, which was beautiful. But really, really beautiful story, really impactful. And I love the fact that it is based off of a true story, which shows, the beauty of African and
African
the
storytelling.
minds of Africans. Dude. It's just incredible on so many levels.
Oh man, it's such a beautiful story, and like I can tell, you're quite multilingual. I mean, you can try different accents as well because in The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, like, I mean, you're a teacher, Mr.
Kachikunda.
Kachikunda,
Yeah,
there you go. And I remember the scene. I actually even posted on my stories, on my Instagram stories, and I tagged it. I was like, "Yo, Lemo with the boy doing the most."
Sure.
And I was just like, "Damn, that's you're really good." How long did it take you to master that accent?
Accents for me have always been easy for me. It's like one of those things which I've done for fun for years. I was that kid, like, I just always loved movies, as a kid. And my only closest thing to acting, or my closest relationship with it, was imitation. So I'd watch I remember there was a Jim Carrey movie, Ace Ventura. There was two, Pet Detective and When Nature Calls. I knew both of those movies literally off by heart, the dialogue, to the point where like I'd mimic all the facial expressions of Jim Carrey and all that. So through the years, I didn't know that I was training myself with that whole accent thing. So I don't know how many accents I can do. I don't think it's limited. I think it's just exposure to that particular thing. So if I spend a month with you, I'll be able to mimic you and sound like you. Somewhat. Yeah. So I think it was that. So it didn't really take long, but fortunately on that one they also got us dialogue coaches and dialect coaches, because I'd done a lot of accent work before, but I found the problem was always the synergy between different cast members, because you go away and do your thing, I'd go away and do my thing. You sound a little Nigerian, I sound a little more Congolese, and we're supposed to both be in Angola, and that's just like, you're watching it, you're just like, for people like me that are sensitive to accents, you're just like, where are these people? So I think on that one, they really helped us to find like a kind of uniform sonic. But yeah, man.
And even in Ludik as well. You were playing like a Zimbabwean.
Yeah.
And you like, so I'm just like, every time I watch you, I'm just like, you're not typecasted. You're always offering like something different.
Yeah.
Which is good. I think
it's also intentional.
important.
It's also intentional from my side. I make sure that like the projects that I do take, because of some of the actors that I like modeling myself after, like your Gary Oldmans, your Edward Nortons, they hardly repeat characters or character types. So for me, I felt, the only way for me to stay interested in this thing is to stimulate myself and challenge myself with, different things. So like maybe after the Shaka thing, I'm gonna try do comedy or something.
Oh yes.
But like just stretching myself and putting myself in a comfort zone outside of what, people expect or know. So that also for the audience, anything that's unpredictable is always has the potential to be extremely entertaining, because you don't know. You're also, as an audience member, you're there like, where is this thing gonna go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want people that are followers of my work to have that with them. I don't want to see traces. I don't want in my next character somebody to be like, this guy's kind of Shagarish. You know what I mean? It has
Shagarish.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There's I mean, for me, a lot of actors that I don't particularly enjoy have that in them, where like I'll watch a project of theirs and then watch another one and be like, feel like it's the same movie, just a different cast around you also. But yeah, it must feel fresh, it must feel new, every character must feel like a new human being,
And is there any character roles where you look back and you're like, I regret it, maybe I shouldn't have?
Not really. I mean, there's definitely things that I could have done better, but everything has led me to this point. So if I remove that puzzle piece, who knows, maybe you'd be speaking to a different Shaka, So For me, I understand the importance of everything. I understand the importance of eating more vite on certain things, because more vite will lead you to Woolworths. Can I get an amen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, you need to go through everything. You need to shoot bad movies to get the hunger to shoot good movies. If your whole CV was just great movies, then the day you shoot a good movie, you're in a lot of problems. You know, psychologically, you won't know. I forgot which was. There was an actor that I'd seen a thing of his recently. He was doing all these blockbusters, and then he hit one bad movie, and that really got him. You know. So for me, I've shot lots of trash movies. I've shot lots of great movies. Yeah.
And it's just life. You just keep it going. On to the next one.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of Beyond the River, do you feel that was the one film that took your acting to the next level, or it was also that film that like was kind of, because I think on the international scene, like you've done quite a few there, but I think in South Africa, for me personally, I felt like that's when I kind of got introduced to you of like, oh, okay, Lemo, okay, cool, this Duma canoeing, you know. So yeah, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, Beyond the River definitely did solidify my craft in South Africa and really let people know what's happening behind that curtain, number 3, you know. But for me, it was also, I think it's the first film I also won an award for.
Yes.
Which, yeah, man, it was the first time also, it was like kind of like the Shaka experience. It was my first lead role where I really spearheaded an entire project as number 1. I played lead characters before where I'm on the poster, but I was never the lead. So it was the first time I got a chance to do that. And fortunately, the guy I was also working with very closely, Grant Swanby, I was a massive fan of his. I remember that guy's so brilliant at his craft. There was a time when I was still helping out with like auditions. I was like a reader to just pay bills, survive, whatever. So he came in once for this audition. That guy was so good, I forgot to do my job. I was just watching him. And then he's like awkward. He's like, I kind of need you to cue me. I was like, and this was like during his audition, so I felt really bad. But then I was aware of like the remarkable talent he was, and I really learned a lot. So I think just being around the presence of greats and legends like that, also knowing the responsibility of carrying that story and it being a true story, and meeting Siseko and Pierce, who it was based off of, all of that was like fuel to really, get me there. As a performer, and I think, the audiences really did embrace it. There's people like to this day that still say it's their favorite movie or like the best South African film. And for me, it's really, it's touching and beautiful to be a part of something like that.
So in terms of, still on Beyond the River, the canoeing scenes, like, you guys were obviously canoeing for real. Like, how much training went into that?
3 long months.
3 months?
Canoeing is so hard. It looks, like when you see them on the water, it's like, it's just the arms. Okay, firstly, there's like the element of being fit enough to look like an athlete that wins a gold medal at the Doozy, which is the Comrades Marathon times 3. Because it's over 3 days. It's like doing the Comrades every day.
Yes.
For 3 days.
Yes.
Then there's just balancing on that thing. It's literally like learning to ride a bicycle. I don't know if you remember or if you know how to ride a bike, but that first, when you, and then the confidence, and then you start,
and you fall a few times. Yes.
But now you're falling into water. During winter, I don't know why I've got bad luck with winter.
Most films are shot in that time.
During winter in Cape Town is when we started learning. Man, it was hard, it was cold, but we had really good guys help us there. I think the first guy that coached us was a guy called Sean Rubenstein, if I'm not mistaken. He was a medalist in the Olympics for canoeing, that guy, he knows his story. And really, guided us and helped us, but it's hard, man. It's just 3 months of, I think, and the crazy thing is also canoes come in different sizes. Yeah. So the first one's almost like a tricycle. It's almost impossible to fall off. Like, you really have to be an idiot or do something stupid.
Yeah.
But every time you upgrade to like the thinner one, and on screen you can see the size difference, because obviously the people next to us are on different boats as well. So for us to be in the professional one, we need that level of balance. And each time you upgrade, it's thinner. It's literally like starting again. So we'd practice for a month, master this thing. Oh, I can balance now. Okay, time for the upgrade. Water, water. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go home. Because obviously it's the hypothermia thing. You even practice, come back the next day. It was a big challenge, but I think eventually we got it right. Was it the week of, or it was like too close to, like we're shooting like in 2 days and we still can't balance, and eventually we got it right, but like it was like a close call like that. But the film came out to be a success.
And moving on to Blood Psalms.
Yeah.
That is also another incredible production. Man.
Blood Psalms, man. What a I think it was the first taste of what the Shaka kind of expansive was. It was the first time I was on a South African set where we built a place which you could literally get lost in. It was that big. Like the actual set was like you need directions, it's the detail on the walls, the beauty. And I think the thing that I loved about that story was that it was us ambitiously stepping into fiction, which I feel we don't have enough courage yet to believe in our stories enough to invest in them, to say that, look, this is good enough to sell to the world. So it was remarkable to be a part of a project like that. And also the cast list, man, once I heard all the people that were there, I was like,
the cast,
this is what Pep did to win the league.
Yes, no, you're right. They put all the superstars in one series.
It was too much. But in the same breath, also, I think it also had that energy where everybody on set, it wasn't an ego thing. Everybody was there. We were all there to work, and everybody was there to give their all and to really make this project as beautiful as we could. And I think we did that.
Yeah, and dude, I love Jamil.
Yeah,
Jamil. Jamil
he's on a different level.
Absolutely, like adore. He's directing. He's as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. Like the film he's created in the series, amazing.
I think what separates him from everybody else is his hunger, man. That guy, like, it's just he wants it on a different level, and he's going for it on that level. Like I remember when I was in film school, there was a popular saying that went around that, South African films, you're lucky if you do one every 5 years. That guy shot a film every year. Busted that myth. I was like, who is this guy? And not just regular, they were all great films that had something to say, that had an impact. And I was like, man, it's possible,
And even now, he's still doing that,
He blows my mind. It inspires me every time I'm with him. He's too much, man.
And every year he's like releasing a project.
He works.
It's the hunger that you speak of.
He's a machine, man. And regardless of a lot of the reasons why people aren't able to complete projects every year is because of the resources. There's a film that they shot in the Eastern Cape once where there was nothing. There was no budget.
My favorite place, I think.
There was nothing, bro. And it was just like, guys, we have to shoot this year. Pull up, let's work. And then people come and we work. And because we know that, we know how invested it is, we're able to, work on those projects because we know that he'll do another Blood Psalms in 6 months. And he's the type of guy who works, because once you've got a momentum working relationship with him, he can maintain it very easily with you. So it's great to have a person like that in the game that is passionate for the game and is passionate for growing the game and to get us to step into those uncomfortable territories that everybody for years has been saying we can't make it and we're too scared to do it. Let's go, dog. He's that guy, and I love him for that.
Yeah. Wow, man. Oh, you've got such a beautiful body of work. And, if we continue speaking, there's so much more to cover. But there's just not enough time to go into more of those.
Yes,
but I want to move on to, some of the questions that we have from our film community that we've asked them to send through for you. And first question's from Nisha. Nisha's here. Yeah, Nisha. Yeah. The 2015 film, Eye in the Sky, is one of her favorite films growing up. And it's the reason she decided to go into acting. What made you choose a career in acting?
What made me choose a career in acting? It was something that came naturally to me that I was good at. But I also got that affirmation from a lot of my teachers. I just remember vivid memories of grade 8, grade 9, where we do like random, because drama was a compulsory subject for grade 8 and 9, and then grade 10 you kind of pick. So while it was compulsory, like it was the one class where I was able to always pay attention. I'd never get bored. I was always engaged. And then when it came to the practical side of it, like being on stage, I just felt at home, man. I'm just having fun. Like I'm making, because I was always like a class clown guy. So I was making my friends laugh. I'm entertaining people. I was like, oh, this is fun. And then there was a thing, my drama teacher once said, she's like, wow, you've got that thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, the X Factor. What are you talking about? Give it a word, bro. So like only like later on did I then kind of understand what she meant. But like I think it was from that kind of affirmation from my teachers and people that exposed me to this thing that, wow, dude, like you kind of, this thing, you're like a fish in water. You just throw it in, you kind of. So for me it was that was my main reason for pursuing it. I was like, a lot of people struggle with identity, finding myself, where do I fit, So I found a shoe that fit me at a young age. Like, am I going to try on a lot of different shoes or just keep these ones? So, I mean, I obviously did dabble in a few other things, but these are the main pair that
That's
kept
one
me
that
walking.
works, yeah. All right. And you've also played a lot of characters with your, with your body of work. What was the most challenging?
The most challenging character I have played to date has to be Shaka.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's challenged me in every element. There was the physicality of gaining and losing weight. There's the conditions of the cold. There's the language. There's the magnitude of the character. There's action elements. It's just every facet of what I want to do well in this game. I've been challenged in and had to face every time I step on set. So for me, it's the dream job.
Yeah. Wow. And then we've got another question from Wandile, and Wandile asks, are you picky with the roles
Extremely.
that you choose? Yeah.
Extremely.
Why? Why is it? Why?
Oh, man. The thing about what we do is, like, number one, the perception game. Like, what we do is, like, how people see you. So the work that you take on is how people see you. For example, if I were to have just done villain roles my whole career, walking into this room, the energy
would have been like villain.
We don't like him. You expect, you expect. So for me, number one, I don't want people to ever try box me. So I will always try find something different, something extreme, something challenging. But also, not everything's interesting. Yeah. To me, at least, it might be interesting to other people, but for me, I always want to just be constantly working things that I'm interested in, things that when I watch either as a critic or a fan or a consumer or whatever, something that leaves me with something and moves me. Other pieces I watch and they don't move me, and it's not to say those pieces aren't good, they just have a different, it's like genres of music. Yeah. It's got its own audience, but for me, I want to work in things that interest me, and if it doesn't, hey man, I'm sorry.
Wow, man. Do a rapid fire round of questions. Favorite South African film?
Tsotsi.
A South African film director you would like to work with?
I've worked with most of Gavin Hood again. I don't know.
Gavin Hood again?
Oh, Neil Blomkamp. I don't know.
Neil Blomkamp, yes. District 9.
Yeah, he's fine.
And he's living overseas now, isn't he?
Yeah, full time. It's inside.
It's coming. It's coming. Do you have any superstitions before stepping on set?
No, but I never sleep the first day I shoot. It's
you
weird.
Never sleep?
I just can't. The nerves of the first day. I literally.
Anxiety.
Every set I've been on, day one, I'm just like a zombie when I come on set.
Yeah. If you could have dinner with any thespian, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Who would it be? Probably Marlon Brando, just to confirm some of the myths. Because he was a very interesting guy that had he did some...
What did he do?
Weird things, man. Like, he was just a difficult guy. And I just want to understand why. Like, for example, on Godfather, there's this one, like one of the most famous sayings. He was one of those actors that, like, especially once he had climbed to stardom, wanted things very particular. Like, he was very particular about how he shot, how he does. Because he had also understood the business very well and the craft and everything. So it's a scene after lunch, and the director wants to shoot a wide of this thing, whatever. And Brandon's like, no, dude, this scene is going to be close up.
Yeah.
So the director's like, those guys wild. I'm the director, you're not. Anyways, so they set up the cameras, they do everything. After lunch, he comes out of his trailer. He doesn't have pants on. He just has a shirt. He's like, you shoot your wife. They had to. So you know what I mean? Like things like that. Like things like on there's so many Godfather stories. Like the another one, Apocalypse Now. Yo, that guy. So Apocalypse Now is like Shaka Zulu, where it's like action film, you know, and he was supposed to be playing one of the leads. Yeah. And he was like the lead villain, so he had to like look very menacing and be in shape. So the whole time he was very private and like just like a very eccentric guy. So they communicate telephonically and via telegram, and the whole time he's like, yeah, I'm training, I'm doing my thing, I'm getting in shape. Bro, that guy arrived like 50 pounds or something ridiculous, like overweight. Like he was fatter than he was before. He was really like overweight. That's why when you look at it, it's very like shot like film noir, kind of like shadows. They were trying to hide him. The DOP is like, you don't look like the guy, because like the whole thing was like the film's like a whole build up of this guy that's like this crazy like warrior, and this guy pulls up. Anyways, yeah, he's a very interesting and conflicted character, which I think we'd have an interesting lunch.
Yeah. And last question. How much was your first big paycheck and what did you do with it?
I'm waiting for my first big paycheck.
Sure, Shaka's paying you off. You're on every billboard. I mean, on my way here.
Relative. I mean, it's decent money, man. I don't know. For me, I'm just very ambitious when it comes to money, and I think a large part of when people speak about big paychecks, we always compare the $20 million, which was probably the budget of our show. You know what I'm saying? It actually was, if not more. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's that hasn't been the motive yet, and I'm not looking. I mean, I don't know. It's a relative term. I've made a lot of money from this thing. I mean, I've done a lot of great things in terms of things that I'm able to do. I've been able to own properties, cars, all that kind of stuff, which a lot of young actors are not, privileged with being able to do. So I understand my blessing in that sense. But in terms of big money, I'm waiting for it, man.
It's coming.
You know what I'm saying?
It's coming.
But the money that I have, not to speak down on my blessings, I've definitely achieved and done a lot of things. I think the greatest thing I've done with my money, well, not the greatest thing, but a really cool thing that I did was buy a car cash. It was always a dream of mine.
You went to the dealer and you're like,
my first car, swipe it. So I've done things like that, but like...
Damn, bro, so the A4, you bought it cash?
Hey, man, it was the one before the A4, but I also got that one cash, but let's not expose. People gonna try to rob me. I don't got money, guys. I'm broke.
You guys are looking soft, man.
Nah, I'm not money, bro.
Nah, bad, but always respect to the craft, first and foremost, always respect. Dude, how cool is Carrots?
Carrots is the one. Carrots is fine, man.
I remember rocking up on that set, and I'm like, Lemo's here, man.
That was, and I'm so proud of Sia as well. Sia Taba, man. He did the things then. He's got another second short film out now, so... Yeah, man, we're just working, man, and I think that the main thing is just like as long as we unify and tell our stories together, and as we grow together, then we can really build, what Hollywood has done. Because a lot of the times when you look at Hollywood, like if you look at a guy like Adam Sandler, all his friends on his films, and he's in all his friends' films, and it's like that. It's about building that community.
But we need that, Lemo.
Slowly but surely, I think it's definitely.
Yeah, we need, especially like. As young black people as well, we need to keep each other tight, man. We need to create a film community together and create films together and just create this culture.
Yeah, but I think unintentionally that's definitely happening because the circles. I mean, obviously the conversations we have. We've got a few corporate friends, but most of our friends are on film and in the business. And then eventually we'll sit for like 2 months unemployed and be like, okay, guys, we're all unemployed. We got equipment. Let's do something. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's how things like this are born and et cetera, et cetera. So I think unconsciously we're moving in those spaces and that's happening. And I think at the right time, the world is definitely gonna, we're gonna mapiano the world.
Oh man, like what did they say, from piano to the world?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, essay film to the world.
It's gonna be like that.
Man, I agree with that. Oh man, honestly, it's been so amazing having you. Like I just said, tracking you down and getting you for an interview.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. Even though we know each other.
No, we do know each other. It's just
But
it's been a tough few months.
Busy few months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the show we just dropped is the biggest show I think on the continent right now. And it's just been getting that attention. I have been pulled in 50 million directions, but I'm very honored to finally get the opportunity to come here.
Yeah, man, awesome. Thank you so much. Like we really appreciate you coming through and gracing your presence on our show. And where can people find you? Social media?
You don't find no. On social media, I think all my handles are the same. It's LEMOGANG TSIPA, except Facebook. I think on Facebook it's official LEMOGANG TSIPA. LEMOGANG TSIPA is like my personal page, and I don't accept invites anymore because there's too many people.
Yeah.
But anyways,
yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all of that. Name and surname, LEMOGANG TSIPA, LEMOGANG TSIPA.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, bro.
No, dope. And yeah, guys, please also remember to follow us at SA Film Chronicle on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we are coming to Threads very soon. And then also please do subscribe to the channel, and also click the notification bell, guys, because a lot of people, like you guys, love the content we create, but you guys never know when you upload the content. Click the notification bell. When we upload content, it'll notify you that SA Film Chronicles has dropped an interview with LEMOGANG TSIPA, and you're going to be good, right? And also, please, if you want to become a member, you can do that. From just 10 Rand a month, you can become a member on SA Film Chronicles. It really helps us. It really goes a long way and helps us build a foundation for our publication. But from me, Eddie RAMOHLALE, and LEMOGANG TSIPA,
Sir,
thank you so much.
thank you.
And yeah, it's peace, love, and happiness. Salute.